Darshan was very effective in the team fights, despite even falling behind in some of the earlier stages. So, will the teams actually make that adaptation and go for it more early?
An early blue side Jarvan ban by CLG as well. C9 did get Jarvan as the red side team the last time they played this matchup, which was in game 2.
This is interesting for both teams. Jarvan, Rakan, and Na banned for CLG.
Yeah.
There's Azael and Kalista for Cloud9, so I don't know if they've got too much room to try and mix up this last ban and kind of target something away from CLG. I think Xayah jumps to mind as maybe the obvious one, but she hasn't had that much success in the series, so maybe not.
Yeah, one thing I love about these two teams and coaches going up against each other is it's really hard to peg exactly what they're going to do just by doing bans. So they do have a plan, and as Azael mentioned, Maokai priority through the roof right now.
I think this is actually super smart, especially because there was not a Xayah or Tristana ban. So they can just trade. Sure, C9 gets to choose one or the other, but you will always have a very strong AD carry there for yourself. And now Cloud9 has to show, can they actually adjust here to really kind of make an advantage for themselves? Trundle would be a strong matchup into Maokai, but Maokai could still get flexed to jungle.
And that's why this becomes so interesting suddenly, because C9 love to counterpick the mid lane, but they can't do that if they want to counterpick the top lane with Trundle, because it will not be revealed whether or not Maokai is top or jungle yet. So in a sense, if C9 want to be able to match the Maokai jungle, then they would be forfeiting their ability to have a mid lane counterpick, and that is potentially top lane.
That's a huge change up.
Yeah, C9 did play top lane Galio in the playoffs. Jensen, not the Galio type traditionally.
Yeah, certainly not, but maybe it's time to actually show that you can play it as in my opinion, mid Galio is stronger. I do think that Maokai also has a great matchup with Galio. So although Galio does have great teamfight effectiveness and can roam around the map, there's more of an onus on you to actually get those things done. Because again, I do think that Maokai's team fighting reigns supreme. You can itemize a Spirit Visage super easily, or even something like a Righteous Glory. And because Galio is spamming spells, it's constantly taking cooldown off the Maokai passive, which allows you to heal nonstop.
Kind of interesting to see what's happening here, because after that Galio, CLG just say, we think that's mid. They're actually going to take Shen here, revealing that Maokai is most likely jungle and take the Tristana. The Trist makes sense to me, and so does the Ori as CLG lock it in.
To me, the Galio was a top lane choice. So CLG says, okay, we don't need to worry about the Trundle dilly-dallying around anymore. We're just going to pick a Shen because they want to be able to get counterpicks later. What's interesting here is Jensen's tired of Huhi taking his Orianna away from him and knows how heavy mid lane bans have been in the second phase, expects Orianna to be one of those bans, really wants to be able to get his hands on Orianna.
It's the first time in the series, I believe, that a mid laner has been picked by either team in phase 1, so certainly a lot of changes here.
I also think that there's a lot of onus for Huhi to actually pick something that is very high damage. If you're bringing Maokai in as your jungler and Shen as your top laner, sure you have Tristana, but you need a second very high source of damage. Something like Cassio really comes to mind to me. Perhaps you can make a Vel'Koz work in that sort of area as well, but I'm not sure where Huhi is going to go, and this is the kind of problem that C9 is trying to figure out right now. What best do they want to take away?
I mean, there's a lot, and they are going to ban the Cassio, so I like that ban, but CLG with the Nidalee taking away some of the pressure junglers from Contractz. I think the reason we haven't seen a mid lane pick this early is that there are just so many different picks. Who is Taliyah? Perfectly good and a very good champ, but he also plays Lucian, so what are you going to do? Having to show your hand this early does create a lot of options for CLG.
Yeah, I think Taliyah or Lucian will probably be Huhi's choices, and C9 had to kind of pick their poison there. Sees it as worthwhile to drop him to those picks, even though they're very meta mid laners. And then heavy jungle bans come in by CLG.
And I think those jungle bans are very important to actually protect the Maokai early game, which you always have to be concerned about. It's more susceptible to the counter jungling than something like a Gragas by far. A Rek'Sai is another champion, though, that can actually get up in the Maokai's face, look to bully him around the jungle, and look to try to take that over, especially if Jensen is able to secure a pushing lane.
Well, I don't know if Jensen can secure the pushing lane against Lucian, who traditionally is the pick into it. Taking our time with this, however, though. If they do this, they're much more 1-3-1 with Shen Taliyah. That's a lot of side lane pressure and collapse.
Well, it's the first time Huhi's going to get the champion all series long. Certainly a type of comp that CLG can make a lot of good map movements with.
And with this, I'm expecting a hard initiation style support.
Like
I mean,
that?
you can actually set up 5-mans very easily with this composition, so I think that the Alistar makes so much sense here, because you go bot, you Shen ult in, you Taliyah ult down, you throw over the Maokai ult. You are looking for a 5-man dive on the bot side. You know what says no to that, though, is a Janna. So I also think this would be a very intelligent last pick support for Smoothie, despite the fact he doesn't really play it.
Yeah, he hasn't played much of it in 2017. In fact, no Janna games across his 15 unique supports played. And it does put C9 in a position here where they have incredibly low engage. So it will be difficult for them to find fights unless Jensen lands clutch shockwave after clutch shockwave against this very high initiation CLG team.
They don't even really have a great way in for the Galio. Yes, you can ultimate in on the Rek'Sai who can burrow forward, but that's not really that strong. You know, this is not like a J4 setting you up. This is not an Alistar or a Khan setting you up. So to me, Cloud9 has had to really take a pivot on their draft because of what they have seen developing from Counter Logic Gaming. And in situations like that, I always favor the team that is dictating the pace of the draft.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see just how comfortable Smoothie looks on the Janna, because while, yes, it is very simple as far as the kit itself, still, the timing on the tornadoes, is he going to be on point, rejecting all of the initiations from Aphromoo? Because if he's not going to be worth a lot.
Yeah, a few things have evolved in this series as well. Xayah and Tristana is a matchup we've seen a lot of. Xayah has been higher priority, but has not looked like the better marksman in the games we have seen, so CLG get that. Also, when C9 has won, it's been off the back of Shen and Maokai initiation. CLG gets both of those champions away from C9. So in all of those ways, I favor the C9 draft. The one thing that can bring it back to C9 here is the fact that Jensen has got his hands on Orianna for the first time this series, and he has been deadly on that champion.
I would also say, if Contractz can really get ahead of Omar, Omar is certainly susceptible.
That was what I was thinking. Contractz did have at least one Rek'Sai ban thrown his way this series already, but Aphromoo, he's ready to party. He knows that his team can push one more game forward. CLG again have to play the toughest road possible for this series if they're going to make it back to Worlds. C9 looking to shut that out and make sure they don't miss.
One thing I always respect about CLG is their mental fortitude. It feels like, you know, despite players switching in, switching out, they always feel like they're a team that is calm, that has confidence, that has faith that they can turn around these series. Despite the fact that they start down 0-2, you still kind of have that feeling like they could do it.
Yeah, and we hear Stixxay talking before the series about how many chances they feel like they have had to make Worlds and how they've actually blown all of them. But that doesn't mean CLG will go on tilt. They're a team with supreme confidence, even going down 2-0 in this series after a heartbreaking defeat in Game 2, where C9 came from way behind. And you could look at this series in a different simulation and have CLG being up 2-1. So even though they need to win 3 games in a row in order to make Worlds, they have the confidence to potentially do it.
And this is one of the kind of crazy level ones that you sometimes see coming out of CLG, things that they're confident enough to do. They did spot that impact on the Galio, went back up to top side, so they're not actually going to be spotted starting on this red buff unless he comes back down, which looks like he is now, and this could be kind of insane. A lot of pressure going to be put on. There's 6 members in the top side jungle.
The sapling stack is gone for Omar, which definitely slows down his start, but Contractz hasn't started the jungle either, so how long are they going to trade around? Darshan wins that trade with Galio time and time again.
I mean, they could theoretically just stay around here and keep interrupting this, because Darshan will smash Galio in that 1v1.
Eventually, I feel like CLG would be able to get it, but that would also require Huhi to prevent Jensen from roaming in. What a weird level 1.
And Huhi's left already. One of the general powers of Taliyah is that you generally get lane priority.
Yeah, exactly. Having the push makes it so they can do this even more. And now he's level 2, and this is just cue the Benny Hill music.
Yeah, here's the thing. As long as Contractz is disrupting OmarGod's saplings, Omar can't get it either. But no laner is willing to give up their farm, so I feel bad for the junglers here. Because Omar can't get this, and neither can Contractz.
I actually favor the Maokai in this situation simply because it's Rek'Sai who's supposed to be kind of setting the pace in the early stages. You're going to get outscaled. You want to be getting out there and making things happen.
Get him out of there!
Yep, Impact is the deal breaker by the looks of things. Hit level 2 and roam down. Omar, though, still being a nuisance.
And the Empowered Saplings are still going to do a lot of damage to him, but he will finally get
Gotta
this.
pull that in the rush!
Am I just going for it? Oh, he doesn't get it. Now, Omar, you better book it. Oh, flash knocker there. Really grumpy about that level 1. Contractz, though, taking damage on the other side. Darshan down with full health, but here comes Jensen with his level 3. Contractz.
Oh, man.
Almost out of health, though.
What is this game?
Hey, man, it's an elimination game for Worlds. They're willing to pull out all the stops, and now you've created this game state that is probably pretty unique. Not many scrims or practice games or stage games open this way. So what are Contractz and OmarGod going to ad-lib in this one?
I think that is the understatement of the century. Not often
many.
have I seen a 330 level 1 0 CS Maokai in my games.
Well, CS number 1 is on the way. Oh, they got it! Takes the blue buff, flashes for it.
He didn't have Smite. The Smite just came up. He must have used it to heal.
It was an early smite on the blue buff. Omar didn't save it.
No.
What a steal by Impact.
That is actually insanely impactful. So now what is going to happen, it's not just about the blue buff, which will be annoying for Darshan. Contractz will be level 3. OmarGod will still be level 1, starting an unleashed buff. Contractz can now go into his opponent's jungle and just follow him around with an insane advantage. That was a game-changing play.
Depending on how quickly Contractz can kill Gromp, he could theoretically look to invade red as well, which is what he's looking to do now. Close to full health, moving his way down. He wants to disrupt Omar off of Raptors.
He has a smite. He's going to steal. I mean, this is a 2-level advantage. You can just steal that away from your opponent very easily because your smite deals an extra 100 damage.
Omar does get level 2 though. Raptors, very good for junglers who are behind in experience.
Well, the bottom lane is coming. This could really change things up.
Yeah, Contractz has no flash, so he's got to be super careful.
Gonna be very close. Wants to smite it away, but misses that Prey Seeker for a bit of vision. So Omar is gonna get the buff. His bottom lane. Make sure to mount the defense. Missed the smite, but it did not matter. Contractz no longer in the area.
A little bit of a scary moment as you could just see that Bracy coming over and taking it away again. But disaster averted a little bit here. I mean, OmarGod's still certainly behind, but will have the ability to kind of clear his jungle now. The fact that the red wasn't taken away means it's not a complete game-ending play.
Yeah, Maokai relatively mod-intensive, but not that bad. Able to clear the jungle away just fine. And he's still going to be Maokai, you would think, later on in the game, but gotta be a little careful. Doesn't even have Twisted Advance, so I'm very surprised that he's even here. Walking up to Raptors. He thought hopefully Contractz had base is, I think, what he was hoping for.
Sadly, nowhere else to really be. Doesn't have much jungle to take right now, although it looks like Wolves and Gromp are up, so OmarGod will make his way back around, but he might be 2 levels down on Contractz. Contractz zip through this jungle, and it does look like Cloud9 are wanting to continue their invades.
And because he didn't actually go straight and continue to clear, he's still at a massive dueling disadvantage if they actually do end up fighting. If Contractz hits that level 4, he's already going to be stronger, even if they are even level, so we'll see what actually comes around here. If Contractz was looking at the bottom side of the screen, he would have spotted OmarGod with that Tremor sense.
Why he's pulling the Gromp up towards Impact, who again has made his way into Omar's jungle.
Jensen's here too. I mean,
Omar
this is
wants to smite
heavy.
Is it smite range? No, not enough. Omar just can't quite get the angle on the Gromp. That is level 4 now for Contractz, keeping up his XP advantage.
Yeah, 350 gold advantage for Contractz after all is said and done.
I mean, this is a farm advantage of almost 1,000 gold early in the game, which is extremely rare. But as you said, the game state is extremely rare. How often do you see games start like this? Almost never. So things really kind of have been thrown out of whack. And a lot of times in situations like this, it's how well can you adapt? How well can you figure out what you now do? Because it's not the standard answer that you're used to.
Absolutely. And for C9, they need to think about conversion of their team composition, because this is also a fairly uncommon team composition. We talked about how CLG kind of hogged all the engage and all the tanks that you're used to seeing in this meta. So C9 doesn't have much initiation left, but they do have Janna, Orianna, Galio to siege with and dare CLG to initiate on them. So if they get far enough ahead and are willing to set up shop in front of turrets and push them down, I think that's the way they're going to try and have to convert.
Yeah, and also, if CLG tries to choose that fight, Sneaky has an incredible amount of protection with the Janna plus Orianna. So if Sneaky can have a good game for himself, really get going, and he can be that hyper carry, you know, when buffed up with these two champions.
Contractz continuing to take major monsters away though. Omar still trailing in XP and gold, despite some assistance there from Aphro.
Contractz also going Warrior Rek'Sai. We've seen so many Rek'Sais go for the Cinderhulk before he kind of fell out of meta, so a bit of an early game power spike here for the Rek'Sai.
And I think that's one of the adaptations that we're seeing because of the game state, right? We're talking about this is not the standard game. You don't go the same build. You don't always do the same decisions. And hey, if the Maokai is put this far behind, you know you are a good chunk of gold ahead. How do you exploit that? Well, if you pick up a couple longswords, you go towards a warrior, you really could smash this guy.
Well, so again, kind of look at the other lanes here. Darshan, nice and even versus Impact, so Shen not being able to bully the Galio too much. Impact actually having a pretty good run in his 1v1 so far. Jensen also, you can just kind of sense the comfort he has on this champion. Good CS lead building. Every recall keeping the one back first. He just has a little bit more pressure than who he does right now on the Taliyah. Of course, that can change now that Huhi's got his ultimate, but C9, again, proactive to the play, looking for the blue buff.
Yeah, 3 men coming in again. Remember, Shen does have ultimate, so they could look for a fight if they want, but this is a level 6 Rek'Sai against an extremely weak Maokai. So they can't really take the fight. I mean, all he has is his warding totem. He has the tracker's knife, and that's it.
Initiation onto Smoothie, though. Tornado after the exhaust isn't bad, but the damage might still be done. The root gets pulled. Stixxay does actually get the first blood. Sneaky low on mana, but C9 trying to TP in for the play. Impact cancels it, though. And that's a 2v2 kill.
Level 6 first on both players. Smoothie not yet level 6. They burned both their defensive summoner spells, but unable to stay alive. Smoothie pulls his flash.
Jensen also caught in rotation. Shockwave is good. Huhi still with his summoner spells, though. Jensen trying to dance around. Sanji United could seal it there for Jensen. He's trying something here as he flashes late, but Huhi flashes after him, and CLG catch another kill.
And Aphromoo there to protect as well as Contractz was trying to come in.
Great wall there, but flashed by Contractz. Forced to use the summoner to get out.
Really nice wall there from Huhi, and utilizing that early playmaking, Impact TP's down to the bot lane. He has to cancel that. They can't make anything happen with it, so they know that the Galio cannot answer the play. It allows them to go aggressively forward on Jensen, and just good calls there from CLG.
Yeah, veteran experience coming through right there. The Shen ultimate, the kicker at the end, because Jensen invested enough to basically win the 1v1 against Huhi, but Huhi will tell you more than any other mid laner how much of a team game this is. He has Darshan in his back pocket, turns it around.
This is one of the difficult things about these sorts of matchups. So hit 6, not able to actually react with the tornado. You have to be so fast. Yeah. You know, that secondary tornado there isn't going to do anything for you. This is what you talk about. Although Janna is a relatively easy champ, air quotes, you know, that was an Alistar on a ward, and he wasn't able to hit the tornado on time, which means they get that first blood. So big for CLG.
This one might be out of time, though. Stixxay, what are you doing? Taking turret shots! Sneaky gets a kill back.
I believe he actually interrupted the rocket jump with his tornado that time, just as we were talking about it.
Oh, he gets rooted up, actually. Wow.
Rooted and then interrupts his rocket jump with the tornado. So good combo there by Sneaky and Smoothie.
All right, bring him back there. Nice kill for C9 to keep the bot lane afloat. Stixxay, though, looking good on the Trist as the early BF sword. Sneaky has answered, and Cloud9 trying to convert this even more, looking to take the Infernal Drake.
I mean, that would be so big for them if they can turn that one kill, the mistake from Stixxay, into an Infernal also here. OmarGod is there and commits the ultimate.
Yeah, does have it. Smite not. He's up for both junglers, excuse me. So C9 are actually going to overcommit for this.
Back.
Omar is there for the 50-50, goes over to Xayah. That's the C9, and now the fight's going to start. Jensen has already used the shockwave, trying to get some damage down. Aphro burns the ulti as Huhi still firing back away. Contractz rooted up with the reset there for Janna.
Oh, he goes Stixxay.
He makes his way back in. A great feather pullback from Sneaky. Not enough to quite get a kill, though. And now the chase is on for CLG.
Omar has flash.
He's ready with it, but not going to go too far forward. C9 lose their jungler, getting the Drake.
Still worthwhile because they actually got the dragon. It was Stixxay's auto attack, and Impact very intelligently was actually chasing after Darshan that whole time because he did not have his teleport, and Darshan did. So prevents Darshan from joining the fight, which could have meant a complete slaughter in the fight. But here we have it again. Stixxay really not doing a good job actually tracking the feathers from Sneaky, so he steps forward. The 2 feathers from Q plus the auto attack allows him to get the root. Great job by Sneaky, and then, as you had called out, a nice tornado to follow that up.
And then for the Drake, OmarGod expends the ultimate pretty early, and this is to delay the fight a little bit. Aphro and Huhi are waiting for the window. They hop in. It just becomes a smite fight. Both junglers smite a little early. It's actually Omar who goes early. I mean, Sneaky gets it with the auto attack, and then Aphro with the big tank, the Alistar buys so much time. He's in the middle of 4 people during that fight. And even though Contractz is able to basically invuln a few frames before he dies, it just delays the inevitable. Yeah, and it ends up actually donating the kill over to Stixxay, who otherwise wouldn't have been able to get in time to get it. So they do get that kill on their AD carry. Certainly C9 with the advantage in the long term. You know, as that scaling comes in, the Infernal becomes worth more and more. For the short term, though, CLG picks up some gold.
Again, another close early game here, but quite a bit more action than we've seen in these first 3 games in the series. Jensen will return to mid lane. First save is Morello already finished, but it looks like Huhi shouldn't be too far away. Well, they're still trailing a bit in overall gold, but first turret is going to go over to CLG. Once again, Tristana has enough pressure as that gold goes over.
Yeah, pretty huge performance here by CLG after the early game goes so awry. The fact that they're up 500 gold here, have so many more initiation tools.
And so critically, the fact that Omar is really not that behind anymore.
Jensen again can't really get out. Great wall there from Huhi. This can't really run, and that's a kill for Stixxay. Receives another generous donation.
Huhi with such good ultimates on the Taliyah, the earlier one forcing the flash out of Contractz, and that was just picture perfect, setting them up for the play. And this can mean they can pressure this mid lane turret here as well. Tristana is going to knock it down so fast, and Omar is actually zoning out the bottom lane on the right side right now, trying to delay them so they can get more damage.
Yeah, Cinder Hulk completed. Omar totally in the game right now. Look at that, same items as Contractz, so been able to keep up in items as well, even if the gold is down. Has shot more recently than Contractz. Gotta hand it to CLG Huhi, playing around his team in the mid lane to help secure 2 kills on a Jensen, right? He's getting him in these 1v1 scenarios, and then CLG's team is there.
Watch this one again. I mean, there's just nothing Jensen can do here.
I mean, the ultimate is just perfect. Jensen doesn't have his flash, so he's completely cut off. Aphro sets it up. They can give the kill over to Stixxay, so 2 kills in about as many minutes going over to that Tristana, and the first turret gold going over onto him as well means he has his completed IE, and off to the races.
Has to be frustrating, of course. C9 just don't have the same bot lane pressure that they might have had. Kind of with a support like Janna in the lane, and all of a sudden Aphro, as the series has gone on, he's just gotten more and more active around the mid lane.
And although the Janna hasn't been super effective yet, you have to remember, Janna, when you hit that ardent sensor later in the game, it's very powerful, and C9 looking to collapse on the bot side.
Yeah, they're hoping to set up a dive, but as we keep talking about, they have such low engage on their team.
And you have to remember, Shen can always ultimate in there. The Taliyah ult was down, so that's perhaps what prompted them to look for something, but it diffuses very, very quickly.
It was actually really well done by Impact there as Darshan was taunting. He starts his Justice Punch. It backs him away from taunt range and then allows him to slam him with the trade.
It's very similar to buffering. As with Tristana, you can actually pre-buffer those sorts of abilities and can really give you a nice advantage.
Jensen does get the blue buff despite OmarGod throwing some saplings in, but still pressure mounting in this bot side as Stixxay with that completed item is kind of buoying, pushing forward and just forcing C9 back. And the map feels very small for Cloud9 at the moment. Even Huhi hammering this mid lane turret because Jensen's just got no one really there to protect him.
And while it has been a tough game for Jensen, we know just how good he is at finding the shockwaves in the later stage team fights. And it only takes one in the late game to really turn these things around. One great combo with the shockwave set up by a Galio who gets a flash taunt on many members, and the game can fall away very quickly from CLG, but they're trying to be diligent. They're trying to continue the pressure, knock down some of these turrets, and get a gold lead.
Game is still very close as well. You can see the gold pretty much even, but that could change very quickly if CLG are able to knock down even more turrets. Same is also true for Cloud9, but right now they don't have too many avenues to get out from under the siege pressure that CLG is presenting them. And the Aphro is just constantly here in this mid lane there with Omar, again, looking for a straggler, hoping to find a pick.
I mean, Contractz is actually going full out damage. It's looking like he's building towards a phage. I mean, this could be something else, but I'm expecting it to be a Black Cleaver.
Probably.
I mean, this is much more of a solo queue style build. It's not that it cannot work in competitive by any means. It offers a lot more threat, but if you do not snowball, if you do not get ahead, when it comes to late game team fights, you cannot burst people down, and you're not tanking.
There's also the hope that the Galio can go in with the Rek'Sai to keep him tanky enough to get the damage out, so in that way the logic makes sense, but in this current game state, they're losing. And maybe they don't think they have enough damage in the late game or even in the mid game to come back in the game. They have Essence Reaver completed, they have Ardent Sensor completed, Morellonomicon. It's almost time for them to try and force plays, but there just doesn't seem to be plays for them to force as CLG has the map prepped very well. Yeah,
and it's going to be constant pressure from Darshan, who has the Tiamat, and this is not, you know, the triple Doran's Galio of old where you can just one-shot all the waves as quickly. It's a lot harder to actually keep the wave push, so it's Darshan who has that map pressure, and it means it's tougher for Impact to actually get down and get those roams.
And just look how quickly the mid lane attempt is stopped by Cloud9. They get a couple autos down, they pull immediately away. Now even looking for something top side, but Darshan has moved away from this lane. C9 need to open this map back up, but they're generally losing most races to Tristana, especially when you don't have priority on the map. So C9 must pick their spots very carefully.
This should be their first turret pretty easily as they get that one down, and it can't be mashed on the other side as of yet, since they'd already lost that bottom lane turret. So C9 back on the board as far as turrets are, and as has been this series, the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game hasn't actually told us much. It's still going to be about who executes here, but we do know that CLG have more tools to execute from this stage forward.
They certainly do, but it's C9 that is slightly ahead as Jensen looking for something on Huhi.
Might get the solo, but Jensen needs a little bit more, forces the flash. Oh, but Aphro's here, actually gets the pulverize after the flash. Now going to move Jensen back in, he cleanses off the ignite. But Jensen now still moving forward, Smoothie trying to save him impact. TP's in there, Galio ulting, but Stixxay, he can sense blood. Omar with an ultimate is going to catch onto impact only. And somehow Jensen gets away with that.
See, a lot of teams have these parties around bottom lane. This series, the parties have been around mid lane. Jensen goes really hard for that kill onto Huhi. Aphro, the first to save. But then this time, C9 actually drew back Jensen up and he prevents dying the third time.
The Rift Herald is out. Actually turned it around with the headbutt so he hits the eye on the back. And this Rift Herald is going to do nothing. Going nowhere.
Why use Rift Herald in front of 5 people?
I mean, that's twice in a row now that they've actually dropped the Rift Herald. You know, both these games for C9 and gotten very little out of it. Last game, at least they got a charge off, so they got some damage on the turret, but it feels like a lack of planning around that objective, because while sometimes, yes, you could say, oh, it's going to expire, well, then you should have probably dropped it earlier, right? You should have planned more around how you're going to best use it, because in those cases, I actually favor dropping it near base to create delayed pressure in a lane.
I mean, that almost feels like a situation where muscle memory was trying to sweep and you place the Rift Herald, because there's very little logic after having your mid laner flash cleanse out of a fight to try and drop a Rift Herald in a 5v5.
Yeah, certainly could have just been a misclick there, but either way, it does fizzle out. And see what Contractz can do, because I think that's going to be a lot of what the game is about. I mean, C9 has a gold lead, but so much of it is on Contractz, and he's going full damage.
Ooh, sneaky with a good ulti and flash. Huhi also coming up, but going to stop riding the wall. CLG might have enough room to pressure this top outer turret. C9 looking to try and mount some sort of defense, but Sneaky cannot do this alone. And
yeah, he used both of his summoner spells defensively, and C9, while they would love to be able to defend this, just can't get in on the fight.
And at the same time, I mean, Impact is up on the top side without TP. They were trying to force a play. This is Darshan split pushing on the bot side. He has the Titanic Hydra, which I love this build against people who deal magic damage on Shen. You just get the cowl, that's enough, and then you can push the wave so quickly with the Titanic that you can put on a lot of pressure. The minions are always at their turret.
Impact finally back, but that turret took a beating while Impact was trying to make something happen here. And again, CLG just have so many good tools, not just for 5v5, but between Maokai and Taliyah, and of course Shen always being able to be there. CLG Siege is also very good. We've seen really good use in the last game from CLG, just burning the Maokai ultimate to pressure them off a turret. That's usually enough at the early stages of the game to just knock down those structures. And turns out, when you get structures, you get gold, you open up the map, and you force Cloud9 back further and further in this game.
And Cloud9 still doing their best to hold on, though. As we know from this series, it is not over until it's over.
And Sneaky's still at a good point and is going to have a lot of support in these team fights with the Ardent Sensor Janna, with the Orianna, and with what you expect will be an eventual nice bout on someone. You know, all of the protection added from that, plus the Galio damage reduction, could be very tough to take out the damage dealers from C9, so it just becomes even more about objectives, right? Even more about knocking turrets, because if you cannot hard engage on the team, you need to be able to kind of bleed them out elsewhere, which comes down to vision control, which comes down to taking away the jungle camps and taking away the objectives.
And you look at the gold lead, so to speak, for C9. 500 up, but so much of it is on Contractz. He's 1,700 gold ahead of OmarGod, but Rek'Sai just has a hard time getting into these team fights in this organized environment. So it is a little similar to his Nidalee game, where he had that golden on OmarGod, but you're wondering how is he going to make it happen. They made it happen in the Nidalee game, Arden censoring up, you know, the Tristana, but Rek'Sai doesn't have tools like that. He's the one who has to dive in and make it happen.
Yeah, I'd even say his only tools like that is just going tanky support, right? Where you get the lock in the Knight's Vow, because that's your way to like put your gold onto your teammates, so to speak. But this is all about your own power, and it could be very tough with a lot of CC on the frontliners, and you know, a headbutt to knock you away when you tunnel in can be very devastating to the effectiveness of a high damage Rek'Sai.
Well, in general, C9 are trying to kind of cobble together initiation. Contractz does have his Black Cleaver finished. A Righteous Glory actually just finished there for Impact. And Jensen with 2 items and his Sork Shoes. The items are now there for C9 to try and find a fight if they can get a favorable angle. But CLG have just done such a good job of keeping them at bay while still applying pressure to pretty much all of the lanes at once that I don't know if C9 can pick a fight, certainly in a lane. And with this sort of play, going to be tough for Impact to do anything about it.
Now, he does have Flash.
Gonna save it for now. Nope, never mind. Onto Omar instead. Justice Punch is great to buffer out of that twisted advance. And Impact, he's real tanky, but gets flashback.
Baron.
The knockback is good. Impact still buying time. I think he's gonna go down, but it's gonna take a little too long.
I mean, C9 are on Baron. If they get this is a horrible trade for CLG, so they're gonna have to try to contest. They're going in.
Darshan TPs, Aphromoo, Stixxay, and Baron. Baron is gonna go down. Contractz does smite it away, but Smoothie is looking to melt down. The Spirit Refuge denies so much damage. Shockwave though finds 2 as the rocket jump happens out of it, but Darshan still goes down to Jensen. Ulti then from Rek'Sai is gonna be the flash forward. Stixxay barely gonna leave the ignite. Not
Jensen
enough.
has Flash.
There's Jensen Flash. Needs the auto, but got out of vision. The Q not enough. Needs to speed himself up. There's the kill. Jensen does get it. But now he's out of position. Omar is going to try and chase him now, but Huhi's gone the wrong direction.
He's got Baron recall, so he's trying to hide. Does not hide.
Gets shot back in instead. Omar has more than enough CC for this play. Cleanse is there. Jensen's going to fight his way out now. Just seems so unlikely, trying to juke out of the way, back towards his teammate, but it's not enough. Huhi able to get the kill.
Yeah, and when he didn't cleanse, you knew he had accepted his fate, but CLG commits so much to the bot side there, trying to take down the tanky member of Impact, and C9 make the perfect response straight onto the Baron and get themselves a big advantage.
Yeah, the Shockwave into Featherstorm Blade Collar combo was huge, but mainly it's just the call. There were 3 people killing the Galio for so damn long, they just make the call to finish Baron. Smoothie puts himself in harm's way and stalls. And here, you're wondering if C9, do they bail out or do they fight? And they actually have to make the call to fight, but Contractz wasn't in on it. He dashes out as the combo gets executed by C9. That actually delays this, and Stixxay gets away, so to speak. Jensen then chases through, burns his flash, suicides for this kill onto Stixxay when all is said and done. Does pick it up for that 330 gold that he's going to try and put to big use. But the moral of this was that they got Baron.
Yeah, they certainly did. They do only have 2 Baron buffs remaining, so it's not going to be all across the board, I believe. I don't think Impact is actually up to get it, but we'll have to double check on that.
Well, looks like a fight maybe starting. Drake goes over. OmarGod going to get CC'd up, bounced around. Aphromoo here to try and make it happen as Huhi rides back in for the team fight. Jensen sneaky here though. Contract able to assassinate OmarGod.
Galio,
big 3-man knocker, but Stixxay not caught in the blast zone. Impact is trying to fight his way up, but he doesn't have enough tankiness. He's going to fall down. And Stixxay Shockwave though catches him, but a good buff for the rocket jump gets him out safely. Darshan though able to go down to sneaky. Stixxay living with the rest of CLG are not.
It looked like Huhi actually accidentally surfed the wall there. I thought he was just trying to use it to actually peel out, but as he took it over, he immediately just has to flash out of the pit, so perhaps an accidental play there, and it's going to be C9 with the Baron buff sieging up mid lane.
Yeah, with that being said, the wall did delay C9 a lot in that fight, and that's why Impact died, but C9 still with 4 people plus sneaky with the Baron, get the turret on top of it.
At least get the mid-outer turret, still trailing in total turrets there to CLG. They did get the Ocean Drake despite the team fight loss. But now back down to the bot side. These are the easy pickups for C9, but with Baron only 40 seconds left, they're not going to get that much more than this.
Yeah, Contractz is going Assassin Rek'Sai, by the way. He just bought a BF sword. Watching this fight one more time, you can see how much damage they do to OmarGod. He doesn't have that much gold.
Yeah, so the initial wall I thought was great from Huhi, but I wasn't sure he meant to actually surf it in.
Right.
Looked like it was an accident, but the wall still delays a lot and allows them to focus down Impact.
Take those die as a result. Another great rocket up there, but the fight's starting again. Huhi!
He's down!
All right! Contractz dealing so much damage. Impact with the taunt is going to try and save his jungler. Jensen's still low, but he's running out of the way. Impact delaying for as long as he can, and Jensen doesn't have his ulti anymore.
And CLG has no damage. I don't know if they can chase this.
Keep going. Darshan, not enough. Contractz, we're going to try and do a bit more damage, but Omar able to take him down. Two Scoochie on the Rek'Sai, but Jensen, he got the kill onto the Maokai. Now Aphromoo running away with his ultimate still ready, but into the blast code, not enough. Jensen deletes him.
Just like that, Jensen is fed. 4 kills on the Orianna. They still have Sneaky and Smoothie to shove up this mid lane. Stixxay doing his best to wave clear.
Yeah, with Huhi dead there, CLG committed very heavily, but Stixxay got cut off by the C9 bot lane. He could not join in for the fight, so they didn't have any damage remaining, and the assassin Rek'Sai is working out very well.
Yeah, what a wild game. Finding ways to get kills onto CLG with very low engage. We're going to catch the start of this one more time. This was BF Sword before he had GA on the Rek'Sai. I think the Shockwave's going to have a lot to do with it, but he takes an old tunnel to get a new tunnel, and it's just a delivery system. Gets the ball close to Shockwave back, and then he dashes back in with the R on Rek'Sai. So good job right there. Stays alive until the end of the fight, and even has the Maokai all tanked by Impact.
And it felt like CLG was saying, Stixxay's going to get here first. We can just delay until he does. But if you look on the mini-map, Janna and the Xayah actually cut Tristana off, pushing him back, meaning there's no damage coming. There's no more reinforcements for CLG. Right. And with just these tanky, supportive type members, they can't actually finish anyone off.
Janna passive helping out with the talisman as well. Very speedy. And Smoothie does have a lot of support items built up. You mentioned the Ardent Sensor that was finished first, and now Redemption also completed. So things looking pretty good for C9 as far as completed items go. Their gold lead is growing after the aggressive call for the Baron. The Impact tied up CLG for so long for them to get.
Yeah. And they have the big power spike on Janna Xayah now. They have the crit items all completed, plus the Ardent Sensor and Redemption. So that's where they want to be for that backline damage if CLG does engage on them. And then their answer to CLG's engage is just have Contractz and Galio go deep on someone, and it's actually been working.
It certainly has, and Galio is ahead now of the Shen. He's going to be very tanky, and when supported by those shields, the shields don't always have to go on the carry. They can turn a very strong tank into an incredibly hard to kill tank. So the one thing for CLG that does give me some faith in their ability to stay in this game is the fact that the gold is concentrated for them on Stixxay and Huhi. So it is only their front line that is a little bit behind in the gold. That's really where the disadvantages come in. So they may still have opportunities to punch through those shields.
Carry for carry, it's even. And then the question is, you don't get to see it in competitive often, this AD Rek'Sai, right? We say Rek'Sai falls off tremendously with the tank build because it's true. I think you also do fall off with the AD build, but they have things to enable him here, like the tankiness from the Galio ultimate, and if there's no defensive items being built by Stixxay or Huhi, the chance of the one-shot is actually there.
That's certainly true. You have to feel, though, for CLG that if this game goes longer and longer, it could be going in their favor because Maokai will always have consistency in the team fights, will always be that monster. And then it comes down so much more to, can Jensen, once again, find those critical shockwaves? Can they find the ability to pull off these good combos? And CLG posturing on the side here, as Darshan constantly is pushing in the waves, trying to knock down some of these outers.
Impact even moving over because he knows he needs to be in ult range. Level 16 has a lot of room to work with as far as how far he can get across the map, but there's no Shen ulti, as it turns out, so he's going to have to alleviate some of that pressure in the bot side. Darshan looks to seal that turret there in bot and open up that side for CLG a bit more, and Baron being back alive means that this point of the game is very, very tense.
Yeah, and let's remember the last time CLG tried to gank the bottom lane, the Baron was taken by C9. Out of it is forced with the wall. They might just get it.
Yeah, Contractz actually forced the tunnel over, but he can't quite get in range. But is Aphromoo going to time up for longer? And there's the Baron over. Aphromoo Darshan behind on the other side, but Darshan looking for the flash taunt. C9 still good impact. Flash taunt finds 3. Contractz on the other side finds Huhi. Now, gonna burrow up, doesn't get the kill, no, not quite, but Aphromoo already dead. Darshan gone down. Rek'Sai back in business, but Stixxay doing a lot of damage with the Janna shields help him.
That's a double kill for C9. The Baron was very huge for CLG to pick up, but now, with 2 members down, C9 have a chance to push.
The Baron buff will help them to delay, and Huhi still does have strong wave clear in combination with Stixxay. The question is, Do C9 have the confidence to go for a dive here and try to force their will on their opponents?
Yeah, so difficult to push without the Baron buff and minion waves not necessarily in their favor. So I think a good macro call by CLG to make the Baron happen there. But C9 then did run in with a pretty strong team fight.
We talk about it again. You don't just have to team fight with these ultimates from CLG. You can use them to take objectives. Excellent use there by Huhi and team to cut C9 off of that Baron. Contractz used everything to try and get in and didn't even make it.
Yeah, I mean, he's expended his flash, and critically, he will not have his GA for a while, right? And the GA is what allowed him to kind of go for that play and get away with it. You know, he flashed onto Huhi, does a couple hits, tries to go for the ult, just trying to pop him very, very quickly, but he can only survive a couple seconds himself, and we're gonna see the play one more time. CLG has recognized an opportunity. Huhi uses the wall to set up the Baron, and they go to finish.
Yeah, another perfect wall. They just focus the Baron. Aphro knocks Contractz out, but he also takes a bunch of damage just getting over there. And then when everyone does join the fight, the Baron is already taken, but Aphromoo expended everything peeling, so he's not a frontline for this fight. And even though Darshan is behind, he can't taunt in because his damage is never going to be able to follow him up. They're in full retreat mode from Contractz and the rest of C9. So the double kill onto the front line of CLG. Contractz comes up from the GA and walks away just fine.
And while Darshan's TP looked smart at first, you know, setting up for that flank, the fact that Aphro went down and then Impact flashed in, Darshan really never found any effectiveness in the fight. He kind of meandered around on the side a little bit and then utilized his ultimate to try to save Huhi while he was being focused down. So he couldn't find the fight he wanted.
Well, CLG is still on the offensive. Baron up for a minute 10. Trying to take down this turret. Should be able to get it. Tristana makes this look very easy.
Exactly. Gold deficit be damned. They still have Baron against a team that has low initiation, so they can set up sieges with a fair amount of ease.
And this Tristana now, Lord Dominix is completed on top of 3 items. This is a monstrously strong Tristana, and while you do not have a Janna in your back pocket, you have a very strong front line, you have a Knight's Vow, you have a Locket. There's a lot of tools to keep him safe and keep him free fire.
Again, it is just the carries that are even with the kind of supports and tanks still ahead, but Impact again gonna find himself in a 1v2.
C9's coming though, and I don't know if they're gonna kill him in time.
Impact pops the Righteous Glory, just kind of moving out of the way, does dodge the next knockup. Jensen here, Aphro though, he's gonna maybe cut them off, and now Darshan taking a little too much damage. Sneaky, trying to fire away, forces Darshan away with the flash. Ulti there from Omar's not gonna connect.
And that is critical because it means they can't use it as a zoning tool to actually go up towards those inhibitors. So, you know, while it seems like a good move, if you don't have the damage there to actually knock down this stone plate Galio, it gives so much time for C9 to come in, and they're the ones who actually end up expending a summer to escape.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those he's taking damage, I promise moments when they're trying to kill Galio, because he is just way too tanky. And yes, he has Leandries and a Void Staff, but especially when you trap him up against the wall, there's only so much workaround you can have to get the damage down onto him, and it's pretty easy escape for Impact.
Yeah, but at this stage, he actually has 48% damage reduction during his taunt channel. So that allows him to mitigate so much of the damage that is coming in the form of, you know, the fling, the burst from Taliyah. If you mitigate that with your taunt, well, what else is really left to shred through your thousands of health?
And again, when the team arrives, Smoothie's got shields for days, and of course, one of Orianna's qualities is the ability to protect teammates. So the death cap is now done for Jensen. So both on offense and defense, C9 looking good in 5v5s, but CLG have an amazing team fighting comp as well. So this game, despite the goal difference, is still awfully close. Baron, though, finally drops up CLG. We're going to look at Elder next.
Yeah, and this series now showing itself to be extremely close. Yes, C9 was up 2-0. That second game was incredibly close. CLG did storm back in the third, and this one has been very back and forth. A world spot is on the line. C9 wins, they get it, but if CLG wins, that would be 2 in a row for them on their way to reverse sweep.
And critically, Contractz, they have delayed long enough for him to almost have his GA back. So having that may be what C9 wants before they go for a committed team fight, and he will have it up for the Elder Dragon spawn.
Well, pressure started here for C9. Impact just zoning off the Shen, even snagged him with the taunt. First of this turret here, C9 looks like they'll be able to get it.
Huhi setting up the wall. Jensen could get locked.
Yeah, he's maybe in trouble and walks past it. Smart stuff, and Impact the only one trapped on the other side, but very tanky at this point, so not too bothered. Also from OmarGod, they're actually going to commit for it, but he turned off the taunt. As the CC came in, takes almost no damage at all.
Yeah, Smoothie actually talismaned Jensen away from that wall to help save the flash. Pretty critical usage there, good supporting by Smoothie as they continue this siege.
CLG have almost no ultimates left, so I don't really know what they can do for this fight. The turret will fall as a result. Huhi maybe called backing, no. Finds impact only, but gets out of the way. Really tense game, and again, we look at these teams, that pedigree, and even their confidence coming into this series. CLG, you know, pretty much told their fans, hey, we are guaranteed to go to Worlds, but C9 said the same thing, and Jatt, you even caught Jack between games, saying just how confident he was. He's already booked tickets.
They're supposed to leave at 10 p.m. for their boot camp in Korea. C9 is ready to go for this, as they do each year there in the regional qualifier. But yeah, both these teams expect to go to Worlds as an organization.
And as a player on C9, you have to love the confidence, because Jack is known for doing this. He pre-books the tickets for his team, saying, yep, you're going to make it, no problem. Here's the tickets.
They have scrims
they've set up
in Korea.
Ready to play. All
Gotta love it.
Well, again, despite the confidence in both these teams, only one of them can make it. There is a single slot in the entirety of the World Championships here left, and one of these two teams will be the last team to go to Worlds.
Critically, Cloud9 is the one with vision around the Elder Dragon that is spawning. CLG would have to face check into this, but they're looking for a play in the mid lane.
Oh, they got Jensen! Stixxay with the shutdown! And now the play continues. Impact gonna tank up what he can, but they've just got no damage left. Smoothie.
Oh, Sneaky got rooted!
Shielding up, but Sneaky still trying to back out of the way. Does get damage well. Sneaky is trying to save the back end of the fight. Smoothie with the shields again is trying to go for the front. Lands in. Lock up down. They need to save Sneaky. Sneaky finally pulls the feathers back, but Stixxay got another kill. Ooh. Impact finally dropping. Sneaky though doing so much work. Stixxay also making plays, barely gets away.
Oh,
the going for the crit! Sneaky able to get the kill. Now Aphro gonna get chased down. I think he's dead. Oh my goodness, what a close team, but Aphro just buying time.
They should get the chase down on Aphro, and they could go potentially to the Baron or the Elder Dragon.
Oh my
Sneaky
God.
such big plays.
So much time. It's just a bait. He can't do anything.
But Sneaky turns into a superhero on the backside of that fight. Jensen was dead. You think that's the fight that CLG wins to take mid or Elder or Baron, but all the support they have around him with the Janna, with the tank line in front, they win that fight somehow. And now they get Baron.
Just the Janna as well, plus his ulti. Jensen, no shields at all. Baron to C9. Getting closer, but this game is so tense.
And the GA comes in so big again for Contractz. It was off cooldown. He comes up, allows them to get Baron, and they are going straight for the Elder. And this looks like it should be theirs, but OmarGod is in position. He could try for a steal, but the problem is, if he dies here trying to steal, C9 could end.
Azael, what did he smite? OmarGod's smite is on cooldown right now. C9 is respecting it, but he has no way of actually stealing this.
Ultimate's not gonna be it. Drake goes over to C9, and they have the only Infernal that spawned in this game.
We got to see this again. How did they catch Jensen in the first place? It's a flash engage and a flash from Huhi to get him. So, two critical flashes down as they then continue to push forward towards Sneaky. Smoothie, Sneaky, Contractz, and Impact against the world.
And it looked like Sneaky should have been going down. I mean, he got caught by the Maokai root. It was looking so good. Stixxay finishes off Impact finally on the side as they proc the GA, but they overdive and the turret still going.
No, Sneaky going back, but he gets tied by Galio going to try and use the ultimate with the Feather Storm. Already committed to get him out safely. Wolf is great from Huhi. Don't forget, Xayah does so much damage with the Elder Dragon. Darshan trying to get away, but he's getting chased out. Burn went in for Stixxay, and it's not enough. Stixxay barely lives with a bit of life steal.
But C9 has them cut off. CLG is away from the base, and C9 could just go mid lane and push it in.
No GA on Contractz. Impact would like to stop recalls, but they are so far away. What a close fight right there, but no casualties. So very difficult to make a game-ending push. He stopped Huhi, though. He might get him.
One recall stopping is great. If he gets the kill, it's even better.
And doesn't even need to get him because he could actually get down here with the TP if he wants. He's going to TP in on the cannon.
Not on a minion that maintains the backdoor bonus, though. Sneaky cleared all of those away.
Baron range just barely messing up that.
Aphro's threatening the flank on this side, but this would be an all-in fight if they go for it, and I think they have to go now if they want to.
Sneaky's Feather Storm still on a hair cooldown, so he has 5 or 10 seconds before he can immune the engage again.
It's up now. C9 take the mid turret. They take the inhibitor down as well. and they are one step closer. 10,000 gold ahead in what does not feel like a 10,000 gold lead.
And I think that's the right call from CLG. Give up that inhibitor. One inhibitor does not end the game. There's no Baron on the map. There's no Elder on the map for a long time. So they still can stabilize with the one inhibitor down. Despite a big gold lead, they're getting very close to capping out their items. And when that time comes in, the gold lead will no longer matter.
Such an interesting fifth item by Jensen in a Themes instead of a Zhonya's Hourglass, especially when he was caught out at the end of that last fight. But what this means is when he lands a combo of damage, if he shields an ally, that will send a heal their way. That's essentially the reason for this item on the Orianna. So it's all about Sneaky right now. The only deathless person left in this game getting even more protection.
Very surprising there's still not a Knight's Vow for him, but it looks like that may be the last item from Contractz unless he wants a Stone Plate. But either way, he is monstrously strong. He's full items. He has so much protection, but Stixxay as well is working towards his last item, likely a Bloodthirster, and he's getting very close, at which point he will also be so much stronger because he hasn't had that much lifesteal in his build, and that has been getting him chunked out of fights and pushed back. The Bloodthirster could turn things around.
Yeah, and it looks like the Elder Dragon Baron buff push was mostly repelled by CLG. Just one fell inhibitor.
Stixxay spotted, though. He's actually going to have his base stopped.
That's big. That gives a window for C9 to push. They go on Stixxay, but they have no way to carry.
Moon Aphromoo, but he ults out of the way. Galio, he's going to force out a Contractz. He's going so deep for this play. Roots onto the tank, so Sneaky gets caught, but not close enough to the team.
And they buy time, so Stixxay got back to base. He has his BTs full build now.
And even though they prompt and engage with no AD carry, they don't lose a single hit point off their turret before getting the 5-5 here. Meanwhile, they burn Galio ult and Featherstorm.
Yeah, the Featherstorm being down means if Sneaky gets dove on, he may be vulnerable.
Impact pressuring, finds Darshan with the taunt, damage is there. Aphromoo in the backline trying to find it. Smoothie looks for the reset. Sneaky again just cutting out of the way. Redemption gonna reset the fight for Cloud9, but CLG's tanks also stand strong. Taunt back in, Aphromoo goes back in, but Sneaky still alive. Shot by finds Omar, catches Sneaky, and now Contractz leaps in towards Stixxay, but he gets bounced around through the rocks there by Huhi. And Sneaky gets still do that. Smoothie goes down, but Stixxay, he strikes so hard to save this fight.
Stixxay could get a reset here.
Impact could be in trouble. That should be enough damage. And Taunt is going to buy enough time to let Sneaky live.
The Nexus starts, so Contractz is going for the Nexus. He's over there. They are going to TP back.
Forces it out of Darshan. My goodness.
These fights are so close, and Worlds is on the line in every single one of them. CLG goes hard for the initiation. They don't get the one shot. Jensen lands a huge shockwave in that fight, but Stixxay and Huhi remain alive.
And the Bloodthirster was insanely big for Stixxay. They allowed him to heal back up to continue this fight, and I've got to say, this GA for Contractz has gotten more value than I've ever seen as we track this fight. Again, the flash in onto Sneaky, but there's no follow-up for Omar. And the front line of Impact is buying so much time.
Yeah, Impact can tank the turret as well, but then just wait for the shockwave. It's what executes Omar as Aphro goes down because his ultimate was there. But Stixxay stays alive on the backside, and this is a game-saving play. He sees the turrets on Jensen, so he flashes forward into the carries to pick up a double kill, then dodges away from Impact.
Yeah, and getting so much healing from the Bloodthirster, also perfectly buffering his rocket jump on the shockwave. Did save him, and CLG is in!
Darshan, he's dead, I think! Oh no, he barely talks out of the way. Now Stixxay in onto Smoothie. Cloud9 though, rally back in. The wall's gonna try and cut them off.
Huhi.
They only cut off Smoothie though. Impact tanking the rest of the front side. Darshan barely lived through the onslaught. Oh. Does he not have ultimate? I don't think
no, he does.
Yeah, anyone's game at this point. Darshan has his ultimate soon. He did use it in the last fight in the bottom lane. The things we talked about on Jensen, thought that was a bad idea. Banshee's Veil does not want to die anymore. The Bloodthirster we talked about, Stixxay says, it was nice knowing you, but I need to shred through Impact. He has Blade of the Ruin King now. These guys now hot swapping their items. No boots onto Sneaky. We are truly late game.
I mean, this is a higher DPS build perhaps for the tanks, but the shield is also very valuable, and when you're hitting a Thornmail target, you need the extra lifesteal on Bloodthirster sometimes, so this is really going all out for the maximum damage.
Exactly. The overshield on Bloodthirster can be the difference between Shockwave killing you and not. So incredibly dangerous games Stixxay is playing with that item build.
but he has the confidence and he has been able to pull it off in the past. Some of CLG's highest highs have come on the back of Stixxay's Tristana, getting resets at MSG, winning them that championship, and now looking to keep them alive in this series for Worlds.
We're at it again though. Jensen actually flanking. Does have his banshees, but needs to back away from those saplings. CLG inside track for that turret. Darshan again rooted up at Stixxay. Free time. Able to shoot down Impact and the turret Impact. No W left for a little while.
Stixxay taking a lot of turret damage though.
The Blade of the Rune King helping there though. He takes 70% of Impact's health as Impact is trying to defend the wave. Nearly gets the turrets, but Impact does have teleport and can make it back into the fights. Baron up, and CLG not wanting to get rid of their mid lane priority. They got wave shoving in the bottom, and despite the 10,000 gold deficit, that doesn't matter right now. They have position on Nash.
And we're seeing even more items.
Just doing it again.
They're going to try to rush this. We'll see if they do it.
Looks like it. Contractz also eating so much damage just from Huhi.
Baron.
Oh, TP in.
Walk
All right.
down.
This is a big commitment. Ultimate from Omar. They're going to zone everything away. He has to cancel Baron over to CLG.
C9 does have the inside track. We'll see though. They're going to try to push back out and get control of mid lane again. Impact is on the side, and Omar taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, rooted up, does take damage on the other side. Huhi trying to find the flank, but he's got no wall.
This is Stixxay, versus Sneaky now, and Sneaky has sold his boots.
Impact. Oh, just three.
Missed.
Huhi goes back. I think Stixxay made it back as well. The carry.
Yeah, the carries.
Could be the inhibitor going down though. They probably have to give this up. We'll see.
Ultimate. Killed him! He gets a pick as a 5v4. Dead for 65 more seconds.
That could decide the game. We'll see how much more they can get, as there's not an Elder up. Will they make the push for the win here? There's only one damage dealer on CLG.
They have no Baron buff. That was taken by CLG, but it is a 5v4, and they have Impact as a massive tank. Stixxay, though, just needs to rapid fire cannon, static shiv that wave one more time, and it's gone. 5
flashes available, though, for C9. They could look for an all-in play on Stixxay. They have the flash on Rek'Sai. Will they commit? And it looks like instead, no. And Darshan is making a super risky play. He's actually TPing to the top lane. He's going to look for the inhibitor turret.
They have Baron. They can get it with this wave. It's a significant investment to stop him on this teleport play.
Well, but will he go down on the way back? I mean, he has to make it out because his death timer will be so long.
That's all the time he can buy, but he's going to run back away. Huhi almost back up as well, by the way. 15 seconds till he respawns from over a minute of death timer, and Baron-powered recall is enough. C9 hold onto their inhib pretty critically, but a hole open up, and Darshan buys CLG more time.
This is such a tense game, and the item builds become so important at these ultra late game stages. People are swapping items back and forth. Stixxay now has enough gold that he could sell up his boots and go for a Phantom Dancer or something if he wants like that. Huhi finally has his death cap, which was very delayed because he had spent so much money actually on the sorcery potions to have more immediate strength.
And gentlemen, I will go something I'm sure is after your own hearts. On Cloud9, where is the Knight's Vow?
In the shop.
That's the wrong place for Knight's Vow this game.
Contractz has gone with his build. He's getting as much bruiser things, and a 6-item build for a melee without Gargoyle Stoneplate is irresponsible. So he needs that to stay alive, and they don't have a window for it. But look at Darshan, split pushing with ultimate. He knows Impact can't match without TP. He's going to get the inhibitor while C9 forces Elder. They're forcing Darshan to ult in.
Yeah, and CLG can't afford to just give this up, I don't feel. They're going to look for the fight. When will Darshan pull the trigger?
Got the inhib, so now it can go, but C9 already under it. Big flank there from Impact. Flushed in for a taunt to try and delay them around the Elder.
Finishing the Elder.
Over to Cloud9. Now they're going to start the fight. Huhi a little low. Damage there as the taunt lines in, but Sneaky lets it rip on the Xayah. Darshan CC'd up forever, and Stixxay, one auto, almost kills it. Fight on Sneaky, having to get the kill on the Stixxay, saving the game as Jensen flushes forward. Cloud9, they are trying to push themselves one fight closer to world.
Huhi needs to stay alive. They all need to stay alive to have any chance of holding on against this Elder Dragon push. In comes C9. There's only one minion alive, so the backdoor bonus could be there soon, and Huhi is recalling.
Anyone can get that minion. It makes the turrets 3 times as hard to kill, but it's still alive. Aphromoo wants it.
Smoothie resets. Minion's still there. The hero there for C9. Aphromoo dead. Cloud9. Looks like they are going to do it. The hearts of CLG fans shatter. But the fight's still going. CLG looking for Huhi. Flushed out of the way. Trying to get this destination, but another shockwave there from Sneaky as Cloud9 barely make good on their promise. Your final team at the 2017 World Championships.
What a final fight from Sneaky. 9-0-8 on the Xayah, coming up huge. The team putting all their eggs in his basket, supporting him in these fights, and he was incredible.
What an insane game that was. 5-2-10 on Contractz with the Warrior Rek'Sai that had relevance in the late game. As you mentioned, 9-0-8 Sneaky, and Jensen, who started the game 0-2-0, ends it with 9 kills.
Well, handshakes are going to be exchanged. Just incredible series.
You have to say, it was such a tight series. Both this and Game 2 certainly could have gone either way. Very, very tight down the stretch. And for CLG, it just felt like they pulled the trigger on that last team fight too late. They gave the time for C9 to pick up the Elder Dragon.
Yeah.
And the Elder Dragon is really what swung that fight in the late game.
Contractz there getting a hug from the owner of C9, Jack. And he talked about how amazing it would be to go to Worlds in his first year as a jungler in the LCS, but also to do it with a high farm Nidalee game and a carry Rek'Sai build, unlike the way other junglers were able to qualify for Worlds. Quite a season and quite a performance for Contractz.
I was promised super carry jungle pick when I had a quick chat with Repeat yesterday. That was not what I expected as far as picks go, but clearly something that worked out there.
I mean, I'm really impressed that they made this pick work of the Rek'Sai as a damage dealer, right? So many people now just go full tank and play it as a supportive style jungler, utilizing some early pressure, utilizing knockups. But I mean, he played around, I think, the cooldown of his Guardian Angel so incredibly well.
Yeah, and this is another example of how much of a team game League of Legends can be right now, and how I almost feel like everyone on C9 had to step up at some moment in this game to make up for someone else, right? There was a moment where Jensen got picked off in the mid lane. You thought the series was over, but then Sneaky and the support of Janna carried them back into the game. This was probably Sneaky's best game of the year.
Yeah.
The way he dodged every critical CC, never died, had a lot of support, but just towed the line, was on the razor's edge the entire time, getting all the damage off that he could.
I mean, what about Smoothie? His first Janna game of the year in this critical series does actually perform very well in these team fights, and I think enabling some of these kind of more squishy builds, such as what Contractz had with the shielding and the Galio ultimates coming in, as you said, full team effort.
Credit to the bot lane, I'll say in general, like Sneaky has had so many uncharacteristically poor games for him, but that was a carry performance to remember. But to hear more from North America's #3 seed, we're setting it down to Ovaltine, who was an interview with the newest mid laner heading to Worlds.
Thank you, Patty Cake. I am here with Cloud9's Jensen. Congratulations on that win. I want to ask you, that last game had all of the C9 fans at the edge of their seats. So much action. What was going through your comms and what was going through your head during that final game?
Honestly, from our perspective, it was a pretty chaotic game. Like, it felt really hard to ever get control against them, so we were like constantly just feeling the pressure from them, but we knew that our team comm was really insane late game, so we just kept our composure and then scaled to late game and won.
So tell me a little bit about that. When you're in such a high pressure situation, I mean, this series was deciding if you were going to Worlds or not. How do you maintain that composure? How do you keep the focus to keep going?
Honestly, it's something I've struggled a bit with in the past, but my sports psychologist has helped me a lot with it. So I feel a lot more comfortable in these like higher pressure situations. It still affects me a bit, but I don't know. It's just a lot harder to play because there's a lot more on the line. So you just got to try to play as normal as possible. But it definitely gets a lot more chaotic than usual, even in comms. Like we scream a lot as well, much more than usual. So it just feels harder, I guess. I can't really. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you played phenomenally today, and you guys won, and you've won your lock-in to Worlds. You got the play-ins next week. Are there any teams that you're excited to play against or looking forward to?
I should say SKT here, I think. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to playing against all the international teams because it's always a good experience. But I'm kind of looking forward to playing against SKT again. Hopefully it'll go better this time around.
How do you think mid lane's going to go?
In my favor, obviously.
There you go. Now, as for preparation, the casters were talking about, Jack has already booked your flights to Korea. What confidence? How are you guys going to prepare for Worlds?
Yeah, I don't know. Jack does this every time. I don't know if he's trying to like put more pressure on us or something, but Yeah, we're flying to Korea tonight, and then we're gonna rest a few days there and then just start practicing.
Well, I hope you get some nice rest on that flight over. You have definitely deserved it. Thank you so much for talking with us. And to wrap it up, we're going to go on over to the analyst desk.
Thank you, Avli, and congratulations to Cloud9, our third team officially representing North America at Worlds, and they do it in 3-1 fashion over CLG. Typical Jack move, has the plane tickets already purchased, they're ready to go, they'll be leaving tonight.
He sends the bags regardless if the players are going. Right, that's your punishment if you don't make it.
Yeah,
your
lose
clothes
your
are
possessions.
gone. Yeah.
They just stay over in Korea. But either way, I Cloud9 deservedly get it with a 3-game series in what was an incredibly back-and-forth series. You heard the casters talking about the entire time. All of the games, to some degree, close, especially 2 through 4.
Yeah, I mean, you see 3 Barons in this game, 2 going to CLG, and yet they lose. It's definitely a crazy, crazy series overall. A lot of things to shore up for C9, but at the end of the day, you've done what you need to do. You've punched your ticket to Worlds. Now you have a pretty, good 2.5 week stretch to get ready for the play-in stage.
And the play that punched it was Sneaky, making a big move on the Xayah in the final team fight, flashing forward for the kill on Stixxay, eliminating a key damage dealer for CLG.
Yep, went back to it for the 2nd game in a row after having a less than great game in the first time he picked it, but able to make the big plays this time around, dodged out a lot of stuff earlier. This time, really good awareness by Impact going on the backside, pulling all CLG's attention to him so that the rest of his team can finish, get that Elder Dragon buff on them, and then they can focus on the team fight. Sneaky never really being able to get focused down here by CLG, their battle lines not being set up very well, and then this excellent flash forward, able to get that kill. And once you take out one member of the enemy backline as well as a tank, it's all too easy to win from there.
Right, it had happened to C9 in the previous game. One member of their backline got killed. That kind of turned the entire game on its head. So for Cloud9, booking the ticket off of that, I think the one interesting thing about this game was how different the composition looked as compared to the previous 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Orianna taken in the first round of the pick phase, which is something that, there have been no mid laners picked in the first round before this game.
Right.
As well as the fact that you have the Rek'Sai taken, and it wasn't even the standard Rek'Sai, it was this full AD Rek'Sai almost, where he goes the Black Cleaver and then supplements his 2-item power spike with another BF sword. And there was a small power spike there where you saw how devastating that could be because Shen had no armor at that point. I think OmarGod was on 1 armor item, so the Rek'Sai was really tearing them up. And then there was enough support through the rest of the team with that GA that he didn't actually die that quickly in team fights.
You couple that with the Janna pick from Smoothie, again, the first time he's played it this year, but the Ardent Sensor on top of those couple damage dealers, the 80 damage dealers in the Rek'Sai and the Xayah, gave him a lot of opportunities to eat through the front line of CLG, whereas in the previous game, we saw what a triple frontline composition from CLG could do if you didn't have the damage to get through it.
Definitely a scary thing, putting one of your best playmakers on a Janna, but, Smoothie showed it was worth it, was able to keep Sneaky alive, and the 2 of them tag teamed a lot of these fights where it was them that really carried it.
Yeah, very much so. Of course, Darshan sticking with that Shen against the Galio. The split push didn't necessarily net them a ton of advantages in this game, and that's all well and good. I think the key here is that as you talk about the Recon ban coming through against Smoothie, he's now shown, look, I'm comfortable on a plethora of playmakers, and I can win my game or win my team games. At the same time, I'm comfortable taking that back seat and playing the supportive role to multiple players.
Yeah, it's good to see that they have a couple different styles. That's something that I think we were maybe criticizing them a little bit, where it's Jensen on like a hard carry, and then you have Smoothie making the plays, Contractz playing a little bit damage style, but we saw both tanks and damage dealers there. We saw supportive champions out of Smoothie, and then Jensen still mostly on the carry role overall, but there's a good reason for it. He's able to find solo kills on their Huhi when any team has Baron.
Wouldn't have it any other way, and besides, he needs the practice to go clap Faker over at Worlds. Now, a few players stepped up to make sure Cloud9 clinched the number 3 seed to Worlds, but one player in particular really made his name known. So today, we're awarding Player of the Series to Sneaky.
Yeah, last game there had a huge performance.
46.9% damage. What?
I mean, that was a game where a lot of support was coming his way. Even Jensen finished out his build with an Athenes to make sure that he was keeping Sneaky alive. They understood that he was their win condition there. And then the other games that the C9 won, he was overall having a huge impact in those games as well.
I mean, I think, again, the word that always comes to mind when I think of Sneaky is generally consistency, right? He isn't necessarily the flashiest player out there, and even in particular when you're looking at AD carries. He did have the flashy play there at the end of the game to win it here, the series as a whole, but in general, he's the one who's in the right place at the right time. We referenced, what was that, game 3, the fight that developed in the bot lane. Sneaky decides to join his team. and Stixxay is making the roam somewhere else. And so always looking to provide that damage. And as Jatt mentioned, play at that range that he needs to be safest.
I think it's good to understand when it is time to do that. In game 1, you saw it at a lot lower DPM numbers, even though it was still a pretty supportive team. You had a Nidalee with an Ardent Sensor, and he's playing Tristana, but your Syndra's smashing, so you don't need to go in. Yeah, you don't need to go in there and throw the game. Game 4, he realized, I'm the carry, I'm the big playmaker, so he played a lot of those fights a lot closer.
That's a very smart player, very smart player. It makes sense that he's had as long a career as he has had, and he's going to Worlds once again. Even though it was NA's final weekend of competitive play, we still got our fair share of LCS big plays, brought to you by Acer. First up, Jesse Fisher sung the praises of the FlyQuest bot laner. Turtle is showing his wild side this weekend. Let's take a look.
I think he's out.
Aphromoo really wants to know he's not.
No, I think he's just.
He
I think it's wins. He's gonna win. He jukes the hook. He's just gonna win.
What?
Oh, what?
Wait, what?
Nice.
How's that possible?
He could be going down for the first time this game. Featherstorm is out. Flashes for Altec, stunned!
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Dude, nice. You're a fucking monster.
That was actually sick from Turtle.
Probably the player you have to worry the most about when you're going to kill him and you think he's running away is when he's going to turn back around and try and kill you.
I mean, the players themselves on his team, the what? How did that happen? That's exactly what all of us were thinking, but it is so stereotypically Wild Turtle, right? And none of those plays necessarily surprised me once I put the nameplate over that health bar or lack of a health bar in a couple of those fights. All right, anyway, Knight Arcanus sang it out loud and proud that Huhi played like a god this weekend.
This game, 5,000 apart. Huhi alone. Here comes everything. The knockup is going to land there. Likely to get this kill. Lucian, not long for the world. He'll buy some time. He wants to kill out high. He's going to win the duel and kite it back. And you got to be kidding me. He survives the 1v2.
Wait for Darshan to come to start it. Real perfect.
Yo, top.
Oh, there it is.
I should be fine.
Help. Quirky, you got it. You got it. Dodge, we're coming. No flash. Watch the TP. We're coming. Yeah, we're coming as well. I can ulti.
No, they're going LP.
Yep. I'm gonna get Recon.
I knocked him up. JJ, no, we can go.
I'll just get an assist. Just take the shield. You got it.
Huhi staying alive, and now the Culling coming across. And would you believe it? Yes, the kill's still flying through for CLG. 3 for 0.
Unfortunate for that guy, but he had a great weekend overall. Not going to be moving on to Worlds. But a huge season overall, huge year out of Huhi, where he stepped up from being this guy that a lot of people were saying they wish he wasn't on the team to now being the best player on the team, hands down.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
huge transformation.
Third All-Pro mid laner here in the North American LCS, deservedly so, and had continued an upward trajectory throughout the playoffs. Remember, those votes came in off the regular season, then most people looking at him in the playoffs were pointing at him as one of the top performers across all teams as an individual. Just not quite what they needed to win the games today. That's all right. Finally, game 8910 is making a plea for all our health. This is why C9 and CLG games are contained to only best of 3s. My heart can't handle 5 of these.
Darshan could end the game if no one goes back.
Yeah, he just cleared out the last minion there. Darshan's already on the Nexus turrets.
Did anyone back?
Yeah, one person, Shen. Shen, just Shen. Shen. Recon's basing. Only Shen and Recon. There's 3 mid. Yeah. Shen hit the pad now. Okay.
Darshan left the...
Don't die, Jay, don't die. All right, I got 4 mid. Only Shen. We're dead. They're gonna go for the end.
They're on to Huhi, but they're gonna try and get Huhi. Damage is there. C9 able to get the kill, and now they need to try and end the game.
Nice, he's dead. Slowly. Yo, we can end. I'm touch here, guys. I can't. We can
actually get taunted out of this.
Darshan does TP. Impact didn't have a cooldown. Now it's 4v1. Darshan has to hold all by himself.
I don't think he can. There's 10 seconds on the rest time.
TPs, that's damage. GA popped. C9 looking to close out the game.
Okay. Good job. Woo! Nice comeback, guys. Yeah, good job.
You could have hit a random timestamp in probably any of the 4 games and found a moment as crazy as that. Like, it really was such a back-and-forth series. And I'm exhausted after only 4 games.
I'm surprised that he says he doesn't want more best of 5s like this. Like, what are you talking about? This is a great series. Give me more of these. Come on, script writers, get these guys together.
I would watch. All right, well, we have to wait until next year for any more of that. Our regional qualifiers have come to a close, and Cloud9 have claimed North America's last spot at Worlds. They joined Fnatic as the final teams to attend the play-in stage alongside 10 other teams from around the globe to kick off the World Championship on September 23rd. Now, 4 of those teams will promote to the group stage, where they will join the 12 teams who auto-qualified. Matchups will, or rather have yet to be determined, but you won't have to wait long for answers. Join myself, Riv, and a plethora of analysts as we introduce the groups heading into Worlds on September 12th at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard or 1 p.m. Central European Time.
Looking forward to that one.
You looking forward to being up all night,
Yeah,
Mark?
we'll see. Overall, though, I can't wait to see how the group stages play out, both for, obviously, Worlds, but more importantly, the play-in stage, because this is actually something where, you know, at MSI, we saw the #1 seed at Regions playing some of these wildcard teams, and they were struggling. And now you're looking at the 3rd seed from a lot of the major regions versus them. You look at this series that just happened, and you can see that there are weaknesses in these teams, and you might see some crazy upsets.
Yep, absolutely. Plus, it's just the idea that it's a new facet to the World Championships, right? So anything can happen. We're throwing another wrench at the players. And for a lot of these veterans, on C9, on these other big squads, I think it's going to be an interesting look for them to finally be moving into a Worlds where they haven't done it all before, right?
Yeah, and another thing as well is the fact that you might get a little bit more momentum. A lot of people come out in the best of one at Worlds group stage, and it's like, oh my God, we're at like the biggest tournament of the year all of a sudden.
Right.
But you have a little bit of ramp-up time now if you play in through the entire play-in stage.
C9 got their rest before the gauntlet by leaving in the quarterfinals. Now they won't get a rest because they're going to play through the play-ins to group. So they strategically lost in the quarterfinals.
They're like, yeah, I think we're going to need a little more prep. I'm not feeling great, so let's get some more games in there.
Let me ask you this. What is your feeling on the 3 teams that we're sending to Worlds to represent North America? We got TSM, Immortals, and Cloud9.
I think I've been a little bit more on the pessimistic side than some of the other people in the office around here. I personally am not super high on NA right now. I know I haven't watched every other region's playoffs yet. I've watched a little bit of EU while we were watching those, while we were waiting to go on, but we feel around the same level as them, but I'm not super convinced just generally. I mean, this 3rd place match, a couple of the games were completely crazy, and that's not necessarily what you want to see, so I think we will struggle, but a lot of it does come down to that actual group draw, which is why that's going to be so interesting.
That's the thing, right? We wait on bated breath for Tuesday morning. Please stay up with us, because I'm going to be there. That's going to do it for us here. So on behalf of myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching. Stick around after the show for North American LCS tonight, where Dagon, Jatt, and Azael will be looking towards Worlds, and the team's going to represent North America. Otherwise, we'll see you at the draw show. I'm serious. You better show up for that. You're going to be there. No. You're going to be there.
This is the last time
we're the last time
we're together.
I'll give you a wake-up call.
This is our last time.